we're still waiting for some people. If you want to pause until we get started. All right. Hello, everybody. Like Lucy likes to say, I don't know when you're gonna be seeing this, but I'm gonna let Lucy give the welcome, and then we'll take it from there. How about that?
Okay, sounds good, Maria. Well, like I always say in the Spanish, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I don't know what time of the day you guys gonna be watching this, but welcome to the Love Team Call. We have two beautiful ladies today, which they're gonna give us like an amazing presentation, amazing training. They're both coaches, so we're gonna enjoy this Saturday, and I'll just leave it to you, ladies. Thank you.
Awesome. So I think all of you might know me, but just in case you don't know me, my name is Maria Marcano, and I am a diamond with a company. There's an airplane. All right, I'm back. And today we're gonna do a training. Melissa, who's also a diamond in my organization, Lucy invited us to do a training, and the very first topic that I came up with, and I told Melissa, hey, you know how we're always talking about success and going fast and all this, great stories. How about we talk about failure? How about that? Because guess what? Drop me a one on the chat if you had some failure in this business or any other place in your life. Yeah, I think that's a topic, right? Pamela and Christy and Megan. All of us are familiar with failure. And I think that failure gets a bad rap because it doesn't feel good. But at the end, it's part of the process. And as I was listening to another great trainer said, in the network marketing world, there's a lot of emphasis and a lot of attention on success and success stories. And the reason is because most of us cannot see the possibility, so it's important that other people, so that we model after some people that have already been successful. So I absolutely understand that. And it's necessary because sometimes we dream too small. And it is only when we see big dreams like right there in front of us that we dare to dream big. But failure is also something that we could model if we understand the blessings of it. So I am curious. I'm curious to know here, since so many of us have experienced failure, who would like to maybe in a couple words on the chat, or maybe you can unmute yourself if you'd like to. What would be your definition of failure? Like, how do you know that something was a failure, or how does it feel? If it's easier instead of define it, like, give me a couple words of how it feels when you experience failure. How does it feel for you? Again, you can drop it on the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself or let me know. Um, so Melissa says disappointing. Anyone else agreeing with that word? Pamela says defeat. Yeah. Didn't meet expectations, Angela's saying. Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't match the outcome of what I had in my head. Yes. That typically is a failure, right? Like we missed the mark. And when we miss the mark, we feel disappointed on ourselves. Sometimes we're disappointed on other people, aren't we? Like it's not just us, but then we're disappointed in other people, perhaps on our team or somebody else that was supposed to come through for us. We're disappointed in life. Sometimes it's like, oh my God, when is this ever gonna be different? Have you ever felt that way after when you letting people down? Thank you, Pamela. Yeah, not doing what I expected. So sometimes we're so hard on ourselves after failure because we take all of the blame and the guilt and maybe we overanalyze it. So and then someone says another opportunity to excel. So that's more as kind of where we want to move to. So now we know that we've pretty much all of us have had failure. Now we're very clear how that normally feels. And most of them were on the negative, basically how we wouldn't prefer to feel this way. We prefer to feel in another way. But here's the other question. And if you wanted to, after this, Melissa, you can share the presentation. The question is this: do you know or have you ever felt fear of failure because it doesn't feel good, so then you're afraid of failing? Have you experienced that? Like the fear of failure? I'm seeing some people nodding. I'm seeing that. Oh yeah, yeah. So how does fear of failure plays a role in the building of your business? Like when there's something that you feel called to do, but you're afraid that it's gonna go wrong. That you're afraid that it's not gonna happen. You're afraid that you're gonna be rejected. You're afraid that you're gonna do it wrong. How does that affect your business? Inaction. That's a big one, right? So fear of failure typically prevents us from taking action. Anyone else has another experience? Procrastination. Oh, yeah, business stops, right? It has been said, feel is not the opposite of sick, it's integral component. Yeah, yeah, that is true. So when we experience fear of failure, I wanted to explain to you something that a teacher that Melissa and I had in common taught us is this. The brain the brain is designed to thrive when it knows, when it has information, when it has reference, right? The brain truly is nothing but a file, big file of a lot of information. And all the information is past experiences. So everything that you end up doing comes from the past. But when we're doing this business, most of us have never done this business. And even if we've done network marketing, we've never done it with Period. We've never done it as the people that we are now. We've never done it with the type of team that we have now. So there's a lot of unknown. And guess what? The brain does not thrive on the unknown. It does not like it. It rejects it. It will do anything not to go there. That is the procrastination, that is the inaction, because the brain wants to have data and information in order to move forward. And because we've never done it, we never been here. Oh, I never been a crown. I don't know how it's to be a crown. Right? So, what does it take to do a crown? Oh, I'm not sure. I know what people tell me, but how's it going to be for me? Well, the brain has no file that says Maria crown pass. No, it doesn't have that file. So it rejects it and avoids it. It wants to stay in comfort. And guess what? When we go forward, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks a lot about this. It feels physically uncomfortable, like physically uncomfortable, because you don't have any pathways to go there. It's like you're going to the jungle and there's a clear path, but you're going to take this tiny little path that's not fully, noted or created. So it's harder. You have to like move all the bushes and whatever's happening in the jungle, and there'll be animals and all of that. That's what we're doing. That's what it feels physically so hard. So now that you know that fear of failure, it truly is just kind of like a chemical and biological response. It has no meaning unless we give it meaning. It's just the brain being the brain. But you're more than just the brain, right? So we want to show you that our blessings to failure. So when the brain does its thing, which is hit the brakes, when the brain does this thing, which is like, this doesn't feel good, I don't have a data for that, I don't have a file for this, let's keep on doing what we're doing, then you can remember these and do it anyways, okay? So Melissa is going to introduce us to the first four blessings of failure. We have a little sort of slides for you to take a look and take notes. Um, Take it away, Melissa.
Sorry, I couldn't find how to unmute myself. Like I said, you think after years of being stuck in our homes, I would know how to use Zoom. So thanks, Maria. That was awesome. So yeah, the 4 blessings of failure, right? We talked a little bit already about this. Like, what is failure? How does a fear of failure show up in your business? A lot of us said inaction, procrastination, right? Like afraid to call those people on our list, afraid to go live, right? Things like that. We just are like, we're so afraid of failing that we're immobilized in moving forward. But in actuality, if you look on it as on a bigger level, there's really no such thing as failure. Um, every failure can take you in 4 directions, right? In the 4 blessings. And the first one of those, or all of them are, it's a lesson, right? Everything that happens to us, good, bad, indifferent, could be a lesson. It can be a redirection, a reflection, or a setup, even a setup. Setup's my favorite. So what are these? The lesson, right? The experience or the circumstances that led to the failure is offering you an opportunity to learn something, right? Either knowledge, right? The failure, you touch something hot when you're a toddler. Well, learn never to touch that again, right? Something simple as that. A new skill, because something happened to you that you deemed as a failure, you had to adapt and overcome, and in doing that, you learned a new skill. Wisdom, just insight. I didn't like it when that happened. This is how I'm going to do this from now on, things like that. And it's important for you to have this skill in life. Life is setting you up. The universe, if you believe we live in a friendly universe where it's always working for you, all these things, all these lessons, these wisdoms, these skills are things that you need going forward on your journey, right? And they're only going to get you to your goal in a different way. I think a lot of times a failure is we're so set in our ways and we have such a clear vision of how we want things to go, right? Well, I'm going to do this, and then this is going to happen, and then this is going to happen because I've asked the universe, or I've prayed on this to God, or I've set myself up for this my entire life, and this is how it's going to go. And then it doesn't, and we deem it as a failure, right? But it's just unfolding in a different way that we've expected, and we need to learn our lesson or gain the experience to move forward. The redirection, right? How many times, and maybe this is an exercise that I like to do, but it's redirecting you to a better opportunity, right? God closes a window but opens a door, or I think it's actually said the other way, right? It's even better. It ends up turning out better than you even expected, or your life has gone in such a way that you're like, wow, if that hadn't happened, then this never would have happened, right? So it's redirecting you. God, the universe, whatever you want, source, whoever you want to call it, is just merely sending you in a better direction. Kind of think of it as ways, right? Like, oh, I was going to take the 5 to go all the way down to Tijuana, but Waze is telling me to take the 15. I never take the 15, but it's just the better way to go, right? It's just the faster way, the more direct way. Who knows? But that's the journey that you're supposed to be on, right? And you can experience even bigger results than you ever imagined, or a happier result than you ever imagined. Yeah, I'll talk about something else after Maria goes through the other 2, as well as it's a really good exercise for people to do. So with that, I will hand it off to Maria again.
Let me unmute myself. So the reflection is maybe a deeper concept. And it's if you believe that you are the creator of your reality, meaning that what you think and who you are is being reflected to you in your life, then this is what that reflection is that whatever failure you are experiencing, it's actually mirroring what's going on internally for you. It's mirroring the landscape of your mind. It's mirroring your beliefs. So your failure there is actually to teach you how you're thinking. How is it that you are, what is it you truly believe? And it's calling your attention, is bringing you to awareness. It's almost as if you had a projector in your head, and all of a sudden your thoughts and your beliefs are being shown to you so you can choose to think differently. So you can choose to become, to let go of those limiting beliefs. But if you don't confront them, if you don't see them at play, then you cannot question them. And so the awareness is the revelation. It's like, have you ever had this experience when you're like, oh my God, this keeps happening to me, right? Why is it keep happening to you? Because there is a way of being, of thinking, that it's being shown to you that you may choose to think and be differently. And that is the reflection. So it's calling for the opposite of what we sometimes do, which is to blame the blame game, to blame the person, to blame the company, to blame the product, to blame the economy, to blame everybody else. And it's calling for responsibility. Take full responsibility of our role in the situation. This is not blame. Some of the things are out of our control, but what we can control is how we think and how we are. So the reflection is a great form of failure, and it actually calls for introspection. It calls for awareness, and then it moves you forward once you make the changes. Yes. Not a blame society. Thank you, Angelo. It's actually pushing you, if you're willing to see this gift, all of the things that we're telling you, if you're willing to see it, then it will be that. So that's the reflection. And the next blessing is the setup. Okay, so the setup is, Melissa said it was her favorite. I think it's my favorite too. The setup is life at its most wonderful expression. It's like this complex and orchestrated set, like a number of events that are designed to transform you and transform your life in a very deep way, kind of like a big way. And it's typically a combination of the learning, of the redirection, and the reflection in some way or form. So it's like so big, so massive, that typically when it happens, you can't see it. Like there's just too much going on. There's too many events happening. It's a full setup. And it takes time for you to be able to recognize the gift. And typically the gift is big, it's really big. And that is why the setup is so comprehensive. So sometimes, that saying they say with it, that like things come on threes, like, whatever experiences, if something goes wrong, it happens like one and then the other and then the other. What if that is a setup? What if all of that? So something happens with you in your health, and then something happens with a relationship, and then something happens with your business. That's a setup, and you're like, what? Or something happens, and then something else happens, and then something else happens. So in the middle of it, you can't quite see it. But remember, there's the plan, and there's your plan. So you have no way to know all the components that are being moved and rearranged and created, and all the people that are involved in this situation that you don't even know yet. But that setup is like moving. My dad sometimes talked about changing these terms. It's like moving a super big ship. It doesn't just turn. It takes a lot of time to turn because it's so big. So that's a setup. You got to give it time.
Okay. I'll just jump in here. So this is something I like to do, and I like to share it with other people to have them do it as well. And then I'll tell you a ship story, and a really fast and funny. So pick something in your life, right? Either when you think something was a complete failure in your life, or you made, here's another one, the wrong decision about something, right? You didn't choose correctly, and so it was a complete disaster in your mind. Just take one of those instances and then literally step by step go. And then because that happened, this happened, right? And then because that happened, then this happened. And then because that happened, then this happened, right? And keep doing that. And eventually you'll find your blessing, or you'll find your lesson, or you're going to be like, oh my God, that was one of the best things that could have ever happened to me. It's a really powerful exercise if you really take the time to do that and realize like, wow, yeah, okay, life is working for me. Like that sucked when it happened, but look at all these things that happened because of it. And then I'll just share a quick ship story. So when I was in grad school, we had a guy who was like an engineer on like those huge, you know, cargo ships and stuff like that. And one of my professors was giving that same example, Maria, of how it takes a long time to turn a ship around. And Casey raises his hands and goes, it actually takes about 10 minutes. We have a lot of like sophisticated engineering nowadays. You just so you can turn a ship around pretty quickly. So that's that story.
So maybe we shouldn't time the shift, but be patient. And I like the exercise, seriously. If you take time, like maybe right now, think about an event within your Purium business that felt terrible, even catastrophic, or that really you were being hard on yourself, on other people. Like just take a moment to think about that very event, and then see if you learned anything from that event. Think about it. Did you learn something? Or maybe it wasn't that you learned something, but I find that sometimes it's like you realize that you had more support than you thought. Maybe someone helped you. Maybe you asked for help, which is something you normally don't do. Something happened that you didn't think it was good, and then it gave you the courage to do something else. Right? Like just think about the things that had happened in the business that you had deemed as failure, and see if you can find a gift. If you can think of a gift right now and want to drop it in the chat or want to share it, if you're clear about a gift that's come from failure, that'd be awesome if you want to share. I don't know, Melissa, if you had one, or if I mean, we could share, but we'd love to hear if any of you has one. Anyone? You can chat, put it on a chat if you don't want to come onto the screen. I think you raise your hand or something. I don't. Anyone can think of something?
I'll say,
Mhm.
if you
Yes.
don't mind. Hi, thank you. This is
Sure.
great. Well, I'm still learning. I'm not gonna act like I already figured it all out, but I realized early on in this business that you don't have the same mentality as when you're working in a regular job or like a 9 to 5 where there's a boss so not trying to be a boss to people and not trying to look to people to be my boss. That's something that has been trying. So I'm learning that over time, that you just got to let people learn on their own. If they're not, you can't make somebody do something. And that's been a struggle, but I'm learning.
Thank you. That's a great lesson. Thank you, Angelo. I read that Veronica said resilience. Ooh, what a blessing, right? Pamela saying, I don't totally self-destruct anymore. I'm able to build myself up. Okay, seriously, isn't that that's a blessing? I'll share with you one of mine. Is and this is a pattern that I bring from my entire life, which is saving other people or wanting to do more for other people than they're willing to do for themselves, right? And because you see their potential, you kind of want to jump in there and just like, can you see it? And that this business, because I've done it so many times and pour myself beyond what I probably should have onto other people's journeys, I learn, and I don't do that anymore. And not only no, I don't do it in the business, I don't do it in my life. Yeah, that's huge. That's a blessing. Of the many times that I fail trying that strategy, that fell. It fell bad. And it was one of those where it had to happen more than once. So yeah.
So I'd like to share.
Mhm.
I have, through past circumstances, have kind of been reclusive. And now I'm reemerging like a butterfly, and have used the Purium products now for 5 years and have felt the benefits. And now I want to be able to share that with those people. But because
I have been kind of like out in the limelight. My circle of or network is very small, and of the people that I have tried to convey wellness, and that I'm not trying to push the product, but essentially say, you know what, hi, I'm back again, and they say, this is great, what are you doing? And I explained to them, well, these are the products that I'm using. This is what I found to be high quality, non-GMO, and I know that it's good for me and I'm feeling great. And where I'm coming to the crossroads is a lot of the individuals will look at the, I try to utilize, again, I'm starting out. I utilize the website so that they could say, here, look at, what's available. And the reluctance that I'm coming across is that this is a multi-level marketing situation. And and my response is, I'm not, I'm trying not to convey that. I'm trying to convey, utilize the product, see how you feel. And I'm coming across the wall of, they'll look at it, the site, and I for whatever reason, I'm getting the rejection. So how would you recommend me increasing my presence? Do I use social media and then just send it out there into the ether and hopefully cast a wider net? Would that be a recommendation?
I think you just answered your question. Yeah, absolutely. And you know it. I think you're just asking for confirmation to feel safe to do it. I
Yes,
think you know that.
because as I said, I have kind of like withdrawn from social media for safety reasons.
Mhm.
And so my reluctance to utilize what is available, I'm doing a sketchy balance. It's like,
Well, just do it at the level that it feels okay for you now. I'm going to say something though, because I see the reflection and I want you to ask yourself, what are your thoughts around multi-level marketing? Because if you had limiting beliefs around the business and you're getting that from other people, that might be a reflection. So, and if that's where you are, because I was there, it's just reading and learning and feeling very secure on the model, on the business model.
yeah,
If you think that that's a really
honestly, I do not have any issues with multi-level marketing. In fact, my mother, when we were growing up, used Shackley products
Mhm.
because they had all these wonderful multivitamins and for kids. So we grew up and
Mhm.
she was great at it. So no, multi-level marketing is not an issue for me.
Okay.
Again, I think my hesitancy obviously is, it's at that double-edged sword. If you put yourself out there in multimedia, there are the dangers of having a negative backlash. And
Mhm. That's the fear. That's the brain going from the past and creating a future exactly like the past, because you're moving into the unknown. So my suggestion will be like explore the failures and how the failures, the blessings, I'm sorry, how the blessing has showed up in your life. So you gain more confidence on the fact that if you fail and you are still safe. And then again, do it at a level that feels comfortable for you. Start small. It can be other ways that's not social media, and then work your way. But go back and see how many blessings failure has given you, so the fear doesn't paralyze you. And that's where we're sharing the blessings of fear, because the brain needs evidence, because you have plenty of evidence to sustain your fear. So now you have to go and dig up evidence of the blessing, so you can know that that is how the world also works.
Yeah.
So, holy
There's
messages.
also, oh, sorry.
Video. Oh yeah, yeah, Melissa, because we have something that might support you in the journey too.
Yeah, there's also there and a lot of influencers or whoever on social media, people will say that when you get negative responses or you get backlash from your posts, then you know you're doing something right, because you've hit a nerve with someone, right? Something you said has sparked something in them, you know? So that's kind of like one of those things like, oh, when you have haters, then you're good, you know? So look at it like when you get haters on social media, be like, yeah, I've become now. Like, hallelujah. So yeah, I think it was a good thing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then Shiva, I see Shiva has his hand raised.
Thank you both for such an extraordinary call this morning and such important topics to cover here. And just briefly on my failure with, it was something I carried the shame around, the guilt around, and the regret around, my health, and just being so neglectful of my health for so many years, and doing the wrong thing around that. But if it weren't for that, the guy who wound up sponsoring me, discovered me and introduced Purium to my life, because I was putting it out there that I was ready to change. Right? I made a declaration to the universe that I am getting this handled. I don't know how, but I'm going to figure it out. And that call to action to the universe, and that declaration, and I was really ready. And right, and they say when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And that's how my sponsor had the courage to say, you know what, Shiva, I could help you. We have something that works. And he was right. And because of that, Purium's in my life. But if I wasn't in such neglect, as I would describe it, of my health, I wouldn't have been given the gift of Purium, which is not only the gift of these products, but this community. And I love that we can share a Saturday morning together talking about real personal development, like the real stuff that it takes to not only win in the Purium economy, but to be a much more extraordinary human being, which is what we all want, right? We want to experience life at a whole higher level, right? With more fulfillment, with more purpose, with more joy. And yes, with more, but what good is having more money if you don't have the health? We all know people who've got lots of money, but they're impoverished with health, right? And so we also know people who are in great health, but don't have the bank account to enjoy the health as much as, right? So we deal with all of it. And it's an inside job, right? With the food that we're putting into our body. It's an inside job. So I just wanted to briefly share something, my own experience about what Jocelyn just described, because that was a huge crippling blow for me in my earliest stages of joining the Purium economy, where I felt, I was on a call like this, a Saturday morning call earlier in the year, welled up in tears because I was the subject of what I encountered as bigotry around network marketing. And usually that bigotry came, I've learned, when somebody says, is this MLM? They don't usually say, is this network marketing? But when you hear those three words, is this MLM? You're like, So, but this was somebody that I know and, cared about and knew me, but there was such a strong force of bigotry from their business partners, which infected him, which, he turned on me. There's somebody I knew for 20 years and we were starting to do the deal together here. And I use that word bigotry because it's a very specific quality of rejection. It's very dark and it's painful. And I'd never experienced it before with our industry. And it really hurt me. I allowed it to just take me out. But the blessing that I'm learning here on this call, what really happened And it's really hitting me. I'm seeing the light now through you guys and what you're sharing. You goddesses, thank you. And I hope this helps somebody else, if not just Jocelyn, everyone on the call. I had to deal with that trip that I had with being rejected, being crippled by that rejection around MLM. I had to tackle it head on, and I had to deal with it and discover now if somebody says, is this MLM? You know, I know exactly what to say and how to say it. And my level of beingness when I share it as well and respond is beautiful. It's a massive improvement, and I'm still working on it. But it forced me, the blessing is, I know exactly how to respond if somebody wants to come at me with some of that darkness and bad vibe and resistance and literal bigotry around network marketing or MLM. It's no big deal for me. Before, it paralyzed me. So, but because I experienced that, the blessing is I got it handled. And so what I want to close with in summary, every skill that we need to succeed in this industry, in the pyramid economy, is a learnable skill. So if you don't know what to say when somebody comes at you, is this MLM? Figure it out. You can handle it. There's a whole bunch of extraordinary teachers. Go read the books. Keep getting on these calls. Talk to your upline. Deal with it. Don't run from it. Because the only reason why all of us aren't further ahead in this deal is we're not talking to people, probably because we have some resistance around talking to people. And we can learn how to get unstuck. Whether you're going to hang out with Joe Dispenza or just hang out with these goddesses kicking the knowledge. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I hope this was helpful for the team today.
Woo! Mm. Preach on, Sheila. That's awesome. Oh, that was great. Fantastic. Oh, thank you for sharing. Yeah, because I think a lot of us get that, right? Like, oh, is this an MLM? But what Angelo said, heck yeah, it's an MLM. I own my own business. Where do you work? Who do you work for? I work for me, right? I work for me. So awesome. 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 So Maria, do you want to do the lead into the video? Do you want me to do the lead into the video? What do you want, girlfriend?
No, I just want to say that was perfect, because see how when I say look back at a moment of failure, and what I got from Shiva, I said it was a learning. For him, it was a learning. Invite him to go and learn. And I mean, we don't know. Maybe later on he'll figure it out. It was a setup because there were other people that he meant to work, or who knows, it might be a setup for them to come around. Who knows? But at this point, it was a learning. So that's what I say, like doing the exercise of finding out how many of our failures have been a learning, a redirection, a reflection of a setup is important, because your brain needs evidence in order to give you the resiliency to keep on going, because you have plenty of evidence of the opposite, from the entanglement, from the major cultural thing that we have to play it safe. So that was awesome. And there is one woman that Melissa and I love and look up to, and we have a little video of this person who went through things that we've not gone through. So it also puts our failure in perspective, because sometimes we think it was so horrible because we're so consumed with our own selves, right? And I read recently something, the best marketing advice that I was giving is don't make it about yourself. So when we make it so much about ourselves, it hurts a lot more, because we're self-protecting from the idea that the world is dangerous. But we have to come up from the idea, and then we have to cultivate the idea that it's a friendly universe. So this woman had been from like rejection that's beyond what we have ever experienced, and then turned out to be an incredible success. Again, Melissa and I resonate. We always say we want to be on stage with her one day. Well, Melissa says that we'll be her best friend. So we wanted to share that her experience, because it talks about setup, it talks about rejection, it talks about many aspects that I think is going to be inspiring.
Fries or salad? Salad.
Good choice.
It is. So is
Ellen, hello, hello, hello.
Hi, Jamie. Jamie, you are incredible. You and I are texting buddies, but we're kind of like meeting for the first time, even though we've texted back and forth. But your story is amazing. So you're the founder of It Cosmetics, which I know everybody knows what that is. But tell everybody how you started your company.
Yeah, I started actually in the middle of a whole season of setback in my life. It was like a big season of self-doubt, which I know a lot of people are struggling with right now, actually. But I was working in what I thought was my dream job. Like my whole life, I wanted to host a talk show like, since the time I was a little girl, and I was working as a TV news anchor, and I got a skin condition called rosacea. And what happened, Ellen, is I'd be live on TV and I'd hear from my producer, like, there's something on your face. You need to wipe it off. You need to wipe it off. And, you know, the redness would sort of come through the makeup and the makeup would be breaking up. And so I went through a really tough season. I started trying to find makeup out there that worked. And I realized nothing did. And I had this kind of moment going, wow, if I could figure out how to make makeup that worked for real people with real skin challenges, maybe it would help a lot of other people. So what I realized was this sort of season of setback that I was going through was actually a setup for what I was supposed to do. And I took a big risk, went with my gut, launched the business in my living room, had no idea how hard it was gonna be. They're used to the living room right there. Went through 3 years, Ellen, of all of the beauty retailers saying no after no after no. And it was really like a 3-year journey of rejection and kind of trying to figure out how to believe in myself when no one else did. That's really why I wrote this book, because I think we all can go from not believing in ourselves to believing in ourselves.
It really is. It's such an inspirational book, and you know, especially for someone starting out in anything, but especially business. But I mean, you had someone really to your face say, "No, this is never going to work. No one's going to buy makeup from someone who looks like you," which is unbelievable. And it's just such sweet revenge to sell your company for $1.2 billion when someone's saying, "You'll never make it. You'll never work." When people ask you for advice, which I'm sure happens all the time. What's the most important bit of advice?
I think the most important thing is to learn to literally break through self-doubt and hear your own gut. Like, I think, Ellen, we all have a knowing inside of us. And I think that, especially for women, so many women, we ask everyone else their opinion and we don't ever learn to listen to our gut and to trust ourselves. And the story you just mentioned, yeah, I mean, I was down to under $1,000 left. I didn't know how I was going to make it in my business. And it was a potential investor. And I thought, oh my gosh, if they invest in us, this is going to be life-changing. And we did all these meetings. It got to the final meeting and he looked at me and he said, I love your product. I believe in it, but we're going to pass on investing in your company. I just don't think women will buy makeup from someone who looks like you with your body and your weight. And I remember, Ellen, there was this moment where, I mean, listen, I went in my car and cried afterwards, but in that moment, I had this feeling in my gut that said, he's wrong. Like, I just had this feeling. And 6 years later, the day L'Oreal bought our company for over $1 billion, I actually heard from him for the first time in 6 years. And he said, congratulations, I was wrong. I learned it would have actually been the most successful investment in this whole company's history had he believed in me. But there's a famous saying, Ellen, and anyone going through a season of rejection or having someone tell them they're not enough right now, the famous saying, rejection is God's protection, or rejection is the universe's protection, right? Like, had he invested in me back then, Ellen, I was so desperate. I had no money, and I probably would have given him most of the company for like almost nothing. But because he didn't believe in me by the time L'Oreal bought It Cosmetics, I was still the largest shareholder. So I was like, thank God he didn't believe in me, right? So I just think that a lot of us are in just times where we're feeling rejected right now. And I don't know, I think this book is really all about how to ignite that light again and go from not believing in yourself to believing in yourself. And by the way, I'm donating 100% of the proceeds of the book to Feeding America and Together Rising. And so inspired.
So yeah, just like what Shiva said, right? Her biggest rejection turned out to be her biggest blessing, right? So who knows, right? The person who said, oh my God, this is MLM, right? She probably would have walked away with a couple 100,000, which sounds great. But now she walked away with 1.2 billion, which sounds better to me. So
Yeah, so just also, know that this is the journey of entrepreneur. And even though she's not an MLM, I mean, it was rejection after rejection after rejection, 3 years of rejection. And then it was a 6-year journey for her to sell her company. So we are business owners. And the beautiful thing that she inspires, and we want all of us, including ourselves, to be inspired, is to understand that rejection is God's or the universe gift. And part of that gift is that we need to trust our gut. We need to believe. We need to believe more and more in ourselves. And failure is a form of learning, because without them, we probably won't even look at the fact that we don't believe in ourselves as much as that we could. And something that I heard today on a video, and if you want to use it as an affirmation, is I release uncertainty. I release uncertainty. I release uncertainty. I know that I know that I know that I know. Know that you know. You might not remember yet, but know that you know. And then if this is your business, and stick to it. Stick to it. And have fun and use your tools and come to the calls and talk to more people. You know what to do. I know that I know that I know that I know. You know what to do. Thank you.
Wow, can I make a comment? That was great video, Marianne. That was great training. I want to share something that now that you're talking about failures, and you know what? A couple years now, more than 2 years ago, somebody in my team wanted to move out of our team, and guess why? Because she told me right out loud, because Michael and I, we were too old. Okay, so it hurts, it hurt me. And I said, well, I thought it would work to your advantage, because we're older people. We're not all, I say that to her, we're not all, we're older, we're more matured, and we have a lot of experience. She said, no, I want to look for millenniums. So little did I know that I end up with a huge team of millennials. So, back then, yeah, I was hurt. I didn't know. I mean, myself, after I talked to her, I went to Michael in the room because we were in a convention, and I started crying because I feel really bad that she said that. And anyway, I give her my blessings, and I said, I'm not your sponsor, but I'm the crown. Give you my blessings, you can move. And that's it, right? But she never did. She never did, and she never ended up doing anything. So yeah, that was an experience for me. So I just want to share with you that.
Wow, that's great. I mean, great share and great lesson for all of us, because no one is spared from this blessing. So yeah, I mean, that sounds crazy to many of us, but then again, right? Wow. Yeah, that's powerful. Thank you. I don't know, Melissa, if you want to close it off, or anyone else wants to say something else. I feel complete.
Yeah, if anyone else wants to unmute and has anything to say, would love to hear from you. Okay, then if not, thank you so much for your time and your space and your willingness to share. And I guess we will see you all next week. Go get them, people. Don't be afraid of failure.
Go for it. Go for it 100 times. Yes. Go for your 1.5 billion.
There you go.
Thank you, everybody.
Great call. Thank you.
Thank you. It was awesome.